Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. This is episode 97. 97.
Getting up there.
My maroon dude.
Hey. Hey.
Those Andrews colors, man. Or you just
Man, of course, this is Andrews High School. The A.
you got
It's
the
in full
Andrews
effect.
colors. Andrews High School over the Northeast. Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Andrews, we love you. Northeast, the real Northeast El Paso.
Oh Lord.
Some of y'all claim to be Northeast. You know you're Central.
How many real Northeast is it? Is it just like?
It's just dog. Look. It's just one. It's just hey.
Say the real Northeast.
Real Northeast High School. With all due respect, I'm an educator myself.
Hey,
however,
I'm staying out of there.
I'm not.
I got people all over, so
Hey.
I'm good.
I got people all over the world, but I mean, at least they say where they're from. You know, the Northeast is Andrews High School.
Hey, the funniest
Urban
thing,
will give you a pass.
the funniest thing
Parkland.
is listening to some people on Facebook arguing about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man.
You know,
Like everybody claiming Northeast. I wonder why. I mean, you know, if you pass the Whataburger on Dyer before you get to Chapin,
so
you're Central.
So
if you can jog to Chico's Tacos from your high school, you're Central.
So we need to have the
very
map. We need to have the map where we have the line drawn so everybody knows.
Just ask KVIA. They understand. KVIA understands. It's Central, baby. I mean, if you're near Logan Heights, which is the base, you're Central. But you can get Northeast love. It's all love. But just know who you are.
That's funny. I'm sorry. There's probably a lot of people that don't understand. Like,
I apologize.
The city of El Paso is a small city in the numbers, but it's a big, wide city. Like it's like wide, right? Really like far out.
Spread out for sure.
Spread out, yes. So obviously, in pretty much every town, there's a north, east, south, and west, right?
Yeah.
And the Northeast is one part, and you know, it's not just north; it's east. So they call it Northeast.
Yes.
And then you got Northeast, you got West, you got East, you got South, and then you got Lower Valley, right?
Got Lower Valley, you got Upper Valley.
Yeah, Upper Valley is like West Side and stuff.
And
so
you have Central, claim to be Northeast.
Central. So we got a good geography lesson. I'm putting it out on the books. All right. So hope y'all have been doing good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been interesting this past week, man. There's a lot going on.
A lot.
Yeah,
It's heating up, for sure.
We're gonna have to stay out of that. Just look, last week your boy messed up. I got my my watering system with my evaporative coolers, and I forgot to turn the water off. So when we finished up, I was here for about another hour trying to finish it. Then I'm not gonna say who it was, but I tried to show somebody about how to turn the water nozzle off, and that didn't work. So the next morning I came in on Sunday and it's flooded. And then I'm trying to turn things off, and other things are springing leaks. So, and I've had trainings all week. Starting Wednesday, I was here from 11 to 7.
Ooh,
and then
putting in work.
Today from 1 to now, and then tomorrow I'm gonna be here I gotta be here early because they coming to install something. Man, I'm tired. So I might be grumpy today.
So you actually skill kids in basketball and HVAC, huh?
Oh yeah.
HVAC, huh?
I didn't got so good at it. I mean, I was telling the missus I should have a side. I should start my own little side, because look, there's really a demand. There's a big demand
in this city
for like a handyman
yes,
for
sir.
small business.
Absolutely.
You could make a ton of money.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of businesses don't like the money that I'm paying these dudes. Like, I'm learning, like the floor. Like, it was gonna probably cost me between $2,000 and maybe $3,000 to get the floor and stuff redone.
Wow.
I did it myself.
Wow.
I got the floor scrubber. Shout out to Sunbelt Rentals. I rented the floor scrubber. They delivered it. I went over the floor, cleaned it, and then I got the stuff. And I went over the floor once.
Looks amazing.
It looks real good.
Looks really
and
good.
It has that grip. And everybody's like, oh man, it's really grippy. I was like, yeah, you got to be careful. You can really mess up an ankle in here trying to guard somebody.
Listen, if you goofy, you really done.
Yeah, we got a ton of those. Bless their heart. They're new. They're learning. But yeah, that floor, the floor is really been good and stuff. So I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about this system and how to maintain it and stuff. So it's to the point now where I'm gonna be able to do all of this without having to pay anybody to do it.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah,
huh?
it's money sufficient.
Yeah,
what it is
for sure.
Because they charge your arm and a leg to do anything. So
question.
Yes.
Just popped up. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Apologize. How many trainers just in the area train beginners? I mean, beginner kids.
I want to say that I know of that I've seen when they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe two. One for sure. The other.
In addition to you?
What do you mean?
Or because I know that's what you do.
Like outside of me, another organization.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
One guy I know trains beginners because he's always advertising. The place he's at, I'll say they do, but I rarely see beginners on there because they have teams.
I see. You may not know the question, but in your mind, what is the balance between I've got a team and I'm training? Can I do both? Is it a conflict of interest?
Well, for us, what I've always held true to was the reason why we've never had a team is because I've always wanted us to be neutral, which means any organization, you can send your kid to us and train, and you don't have to worry that we're going to try to take their kid. Now,
okay.
If you're training and you have per se, you're going to start your own team and you're going to train those kids, then you're charging and stuff like that. And that can be beneficial because you already have clientele existing. Problem is that you don't get new because then those coaches think you're going to be taking them out.
Landlocked.
And then on top of that, you better know what you're doing. Because if your team isn't showing progression and those kids aren't getting better, then those parents are going to start to question, that monies that they spent.
That's risky.
And the only reason I say that is, and I won't say where, but I've had, kids come from other organizations that have trainers and they train and have teams, and that's been a topic of discussion where that happens.
Just curious.
All right. Well, I appreciate the question, and hopefully it was able to quench your thirst and those out there who've ever asked that question. Let's get to things that interest me. Well, I had some other stuff, but then your boy blew it all up, sending me a little text and a little Instagram video.
Right.
So we're gonna start by talking about University of Tennessee. How they undercut the NCAA with a new state NIL law. So since you sent it to me, I want you to bless the audience with what it's about.
Well, as you know, it came out that obviously former players and players now obviously will get paid. And aside from the NIL, and correct me if I'm wrong, the university can now pay the students, which will allow them to contractually be responsible, meaning the players. There will be buyouts, assuming the player wants to leave, they'll have to figure out a buyout or what have you. And so, players are going to have to be really smart about their business. They're going to have to be very business savvy because once you sign that contract, things change.
Yes.
And if you're not upholding that, I'm sure they have some things in there because university is always going to protect the university,
Right.
period, regardless of what type of player you are or not. So, in my mind, I just know these players have to be really, really. I would outsource some help as far as understanding the litigation,
Right.
the lingo, and the lay of the land, if you will, because now contracts are there. I think the university can pay up to $20.3 million.
Is that per?
That's from what I understand. That is per.
Wow.
I could be wrong, and I shouldn't. From what I understand,
Yeah.
they can't go over that.
Right.
Originally, I thought it was combined, but now I'm hearing that it could be possibly individual. I know then the Title IX women kind of raised their flag as well and just saw some things in the language of the law that was brought out that they didn't kind of appreciate how it was done. So, stay tuned is what I would say.
Yeah.
So the state of Tennessee said, you know what, NCAA, we're tired of you. We've had issues that you haven't helped us with. And so, you know what, we're going to just change the law. So Tennessee changed the law and said, hey, look, any university in Tennessee, you can pay your players whatever amount you want to pay them. And we are setting this in law. Now, this is the law of this state. So if the NCAA wants to come back and try and penalize you,
They can't.
they cannot, because we don't do that here.
That's crazy.
So they've stood their ground. It is a huge, huge leg up for the state of Tennessee, because now players are like, there's no cap, there's no, basically it's free for all. So
do you think there should be some kind of cap, or do you think, because like in professional sports,
there's a cap.
there's a cap.
Yeah.
Do you think there should be a cap?
I really do.
Yeah.
There has to be a cap. Whatever type of organization that you're in, specifically NCAA, I know NBA has gone over to that. You wanna have some parity in your league or your conference, whatever that looks like, because whoever has the most money, and I think if there's no cap, then people tend to kind of cross the lines.
Yeah.
Kind of, hit under the belt.
Yeah.
So there has to be some type of cap.
And for those of you who don't understand cap, what he's talking about, it's basically a max, right?
Correct.
And I want to say it really was spearheaded from baseball, I think, because the Yankees used to be able to just pay an insane amount of money, right? So then they started talking about like, well, damn, the big cities, they have all the money, they can pay, players want to go there. You allow them to pay as much money as they want for a free agent. We can't afford that. We don't get a chance to compete. There you go with salary cap.
And I'm not too savvy in baseball, but I don't know if they do have a cap or what. Have no idea. But for the longest time, they never had a cap,
Right.
And that's why the Yankees kept winning and winning and winning. And to be honest, like it boils down to resources, sponsorship. The MetLife that's in New York is not the same MetLife that's in, Oklahoma or Oakland or whatever have you. So smaller market teams like Montreal, those type of teams.
Well, excuse me. They don't have
there's no cap.
yeah, see, that's why I love to have my computer, because they're going to be like, man, you don't know what the hell you talking about.
Yeah,
The only reason I said it was because I remember them talking about an issue with the Yankees. But there is no cap, but they have a luxury tax.
Right, that's what
where that if teams exceed a certain salary threshold, they got to pay a fee. Right. So that's kind of how they make them have a cap. But look, if you're a big league team and you got money to go over that cap, you want those players, you want that World Series trophy, you'll do it.
Yeah, the Yankees have gone over that luxury tax
Plenty of time.
By far, and they're laughing at that particular rule or whatever you want to call it. Definitely collegiately, I think it's important because what you'll have is just one power conference,
right?
And everybody else will just be, the D1s, just low to mids will start turning into D2s, and it'll get real ugly.
Do you think? I just kind of wonder how the NCAA is going to start to function because they've always wielded this power throughout the years, and they destroyed SMU for what they did.
Right.
They've come down hard on coaches. They've done players as well. It seems like little by little they're taking all the teeth out of NCAA. Like at some point, do you still have to have the NCAA? I mean, I guess you do.
Yeah.
But like, are they going to turn into something else? Because,
first and foremost, many years they were very
heavy-handed,
choosy. They were very choosy about who they chose to penalize and not. I mean, it's very suspect. Some of the decisions that they made, depending on who the chairman was of that particular university, and we went to school together, so on and so forth. I mean, it was your typical, not really big boy, but what would you call that term they have? Good old boy system,
right?
If you will, and in some cases it still is,
right?
And so if I've always felt the NCAA should be more of they consider themselves servants.
Yeah.
Servants to the community, servants to the players, to the families, to legislation, to senators and things of that nature.
Right.
They wouldn't have to worry about people coming after them.
Right.
Because, there have been some penalties on some universities where you thought there have been some players suspended. I think it was in the 80s. Somebody got suspended for buying somebody a sandwich and some chips. It's like what are we doing? Do
you remember? All right, so when I was gonna walk on at UTEP, right? They just got hit with those sanctions.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And I remember it was me, Twan. Was it Rap? It was somebody. It was me, Twan, and a couple other people. We were walking. We were gonna walk to the Special Events Center at the time to get in the gym. And Gilbert Miranda, one of the coaches. Shout out to Gilbert. I just ran into him.
What up, Gil?
Ran into him at Cold Stone.
Good dude, man.
So he's driving, right? We're walking up the hill, coming down the hill where the track is. Mm-hmm. We're walking up, and I swear it was like 175 degrees outside, man. It was hot, man. It's building something, it's hot. We like, hey, give us a ride to the thing, man. It's hot. He stopped. He rolled his window down. He looked back. He said, man, I can't do it.
Took off.
Took off. We were so damn mad.
Yeah.
And it was because they were so fearful of any type of retribution. Right. Now just think about that. Think about the fact that an assistant coach could not give players or potential recruits a ride, not even 100 yards, because these guys are outside in the heat walking. They were that fearful. It was like, NCAA was wrong for a lot of this stuff they were doing.
For sure.
Man.
It's been bad for many years. And I just think, the circle's changed now.
Yeah,
it's your turn now.
What they say, Malcolm X, the chickens that come home to roost.
Oh, yeah.
I love that scene, man. One of my favorite scenes.
For sure. Great movie.
Yeah, great. So, it's a new day. We'll keep tuned, see if any, because I believe in what it said was that there were other states that had already had similar laws, and I guess
for sure.
So you might have a situation where they're not going to have any power over it, because you figure Texas is going to be like, oh, really? They did that? Alabama's going to be like, oh, no, we got to be able to do our own because we can't have them. We got to compete with them. We can't have them have an upper hand. So what? Alabama's might be 30.5.
Florida
might be 60.
Well, the thing is, Tennessee, there's no number.
Right.
There's no number.
Right.
So, I mean, if let's just say I'm a quarterback and I'm about to commit to the Florida Gators, and Tennessee calls, I'm the number 1 quarterback in the nation. Tennessee calls and say, hey, man, just send me a simple text. Hey, listen, you can have the whole 20. I mean, at that point, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So
that's crazy.
It's
going to give you 20 to come here.
I mean, you have high school kids coming in, getting $8 to $9 million.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it's good for the kids now. I would say that you do have to give it up to the ones who paved the way and fought for this, because had they not fought for it, Ed should be getting like 0.5% of everything that comes in, because if it wasn't for him, it would have been the same thing.
And they tried to destroy his name, destroy his family.
That's why it's messed up, because now, and it's crazy because all it was for them was about money. They were just making more money in controlling stuff, and now they're still making money. It's not like they're making less money. They're just not making more money.
But back then, they were trying to sell education.
Yeah.
When it really wasn't
everybody
about
knew
education.
It wasn't education,
and student athlete.
At some point, I think professional leagues, like NBA had, you could come straight out. I think the NCAA put pressure and told them they needed them to institute that, and they instituted. Now players circumvent that. Mm-hmm. Should a player have to stay at least 1 year?
I like the 1 year thing.
I do.
really do.
I do like it, just because it gives you a sense of understanding, because jumping from high school to the pros is a big thing with understanding that stuff. Now, for football, do you still think it needs to be 3 years, or do you think football should be 1?
As brutal as football is, I really believe it should be 3.
3? See, I'm thinking
it's 2 right now, right?
Nah, I think it's 3.
You have to come in as a junior.
Okay, yeah, you can come in. Because I would have said,
because you have to do 2. You have to do 2, I believe, in football.
Yes, dude.
I could be wrong, but I just think, coming from the NFL to college, I mean, it's a big difference. And you're talking about somebody ending their career on something that just because you weren't ready. I just believe you at least got to do. I think it's 2.
So, it says underclassmen who have not been out of high school. Well, no, that's something. It says college football players must generally complete 4 years, but that's inaccurate.
It's 2, man.
That's inaccurate. So let me continue to look at that,
because
and make sure I can find that exactly. They say the draft eligibility. Let me see. The only requirement is 3 years removed from high school.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah.
So you can come out your sophomore year, right? You may have redshirt, possibly.
Yeah.
Depending on everybody.
So you're going out of your sophomore year to your junior year, or going out of your junior year to your senior year?
I thought it was going out of your sophomore year to your junior year.
Okay, yeah.
That's what
I try to get some clarification on that.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna, you know what? We got a little time. Let's tackle one more.
Okay.
Let's talk about the portal. With the portal being such a powerhouse, do you think early college classes are bad for kids? And here's why I say that. Generally, kids were going to take early college classes. Now, once they graduate from high school, they're going to be, graduate with already associates. Generally, it's associates. Right. So they can almost bypass junior college. Now, it's good if you're just strictly academic, you lessen the amount of years you have to be in college. Now, instead of 4, you could probably knock it off in 2.5, 3 years, right? Depending.
Correct.
But if you're a player You knock those out, you already have 2 years, right? It sounds good because you can still go to 4-year. Problem is that the portal has changed everything. So now colleges are looking more for experienced players.
Absolutely.
Or players coming out of junior college.
Absolutely.
So the reason I asked this question is because now it's hard to go junior college. I'm not saying you can't. There are some junior colleges that you can still go to, even if you have like completed your. It's rare, but what I was told is that they can still take a kid who has those early colleges. They just have to, give them different kinds of courses and stuff, right? They don't have to take their core requirements.
Correct.
But now you bypass junior college. Over here, you have a pool of kids coming out of the portal. You've shrank your odds to be able to play college because more and more kids are going junior college now in prep school. And if you have this stuff, you're basically eliminating that option for yourself. What say you?
Well, I know. Parents have done it for specific reasons,
right?
As far as costs and things of that nature,
right?
But what you just said, we're talking about playing at the next level,
right?
I've had kids says, well, I can't go JUCO and really feel like that was awesome to say,
right?
Because I've got so many credit hours. I was going to have 48 credit hours, and so my comment was, well, then you may not be going anywhere,
right?
Because this is the lay of the land. This is what it looks like, So, like 2016, my stepdaughter, Annika Galindo, she had 38 credit hours coming out of high school. So she went JUCO for a year in Iowa and had to do 1 year. But she understood I got to really maximize,
right.
my time. So it was a lot of pressure on her to really maximize her and really get some film on tape.
Right.
With Synergy. We'll talk about Synergy another time. But Synergy is basically a platform that all the games are on. Every college can see you, what have you.
Do you have access to that?
I can't. I do. I'm not supposed to say.
Okay.
That.
Yeah. We'll no.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not supposed to say I have access, so I don't have access. So, so you really have to strategize. You have to be very particular about understanding what school you're going to go. At some point, you may even have to go redshirt, right? You may have to go redshirt and maybe just do an academic that first year on the red shirt, right, and then try and get to that school. So there's some creative ways to doing it, but you've got parents who are not understanding, and they're upset because, well, she's smart. Well, everyone's smart, just being, well, at least on the girls' side.
Right.
On the women's side, there's a lot of, men's side too, but like everybody's understood now, like grades matter.
Right.
So people are on top of their grades, and so you just have to really, we have a kid right now who's in that predicament. So she's trying to raise her level of play to get to a D2. And so, that's something like your play is going to dictate where you go. And that's what we told our athletes and parents. Well, I want to go here. Well, your play is going to dictate where you go. Only the top 5% of kids in the nation really check off every box.
Right.
And so what you have to do is check off the boxes that truly matter and are deal breakers for you. That could be degree plan.
Yeah.
It could be, safety, crime in the city, whatever term you want to use. I would never use distance as something that would be a deal breaker because you're limiting the places you can go. I mean, so if I want to, let's say Texas, I want to go to D2 in Texas. Like there's not that many.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's just not that many. Even Division Ones, this is not that many.
It's not that many.
Especially ones that you can go to, So parents, you really, and players and athletes, you really, really have to have somebody advocate for you. A parent advocating for you, I would not recommend, because what parents is gonna, talk about the flaws of their athlete.
Right.
That's not gonna
happen. And then it's so many ins and outs that that the average. I'm not saying parents can't educate themselves, but I've had parents that educated themselves, but then when you have a discussion and you mention something that's outside of what they looked at, they're like, wait a minute, hold on, what is that? I've never heard what.
Right.
So then it's wise to be able to have somebody that you can talk to who has years of experience, because you're going through it as a parent maybe once, maybe twice, if you're lucky, 3 times,
right.
if you have 3 good kids that can play. So by that 3rd time, more than you did those first 2, right?
At the same time, rules and
all of that stuff changes.
It changes.
Different things, but like if you have people who like are on top of it, that's what they do. It's easier, and I've told people before, like people say, well, you do a consultation and it's $60, right? And it's like, and it's like, oh, okay, let me think on it. That's kind of a lot. And I say, I get that. I say, but I'll tell you right now, I had somebody else who paid that $60 and it saved them, thousands of dollars because of what I was able to tell them.
30 to 40,000.
Yeah. So if it's like, if you could pay $60 and that saves you $20,000 to $30,000, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, the bottom line is, majority of you don't do your own taxes. You pay somebody to do your taxes.
yeah, that's true.
So I mean,
that's true.
You and then we talk about your kid, your son or daughter.
Yeah.
And again, this is not an advertisement or a ploy for that. It's just giving you free game, free information, and then be careful who you decide to advocate for you.
Right.
Make sure that person has advocated for other athletes, and ask those questions also. Those stuff is important.
Yeah.
Very important.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna be back with some more stuff. All right, so we're back. We're finna get into the basketball ideology. Got some great topics. Not like the other topics aren't great. I feel like everything we put out there is great, but like I'm unusually more excited about these 2 topics for some reason. Let's get into the first one. I'm a put it out there, but it's a subject that you brought up. Let's talk between the difference between talking and communicating on the defensive end.
Right.
What made you bring that up?
To be honest, like, the average, I shouldn't say the average, most coaches think it's really the same thing. So last week, or this week actually, we interviewed for a female coach to come on. It was very important for me, or for us, to really have a female. We felt like we've been looking for 2 or 3 years now, maybe even 4 years. We like our athletes, female athletes, who are young women, to hear from a young woman's perspective.
Right.
So as we were asking questions, I had a set of questions I wanted to ask. She had her set of questions, which was very impressive. Mm-hmm. Then she kind of, not really necessarily caught me off guard, but she said, what are your not annoyances, but what do you call them? Things that just bother you the most, right? Mm-hmm. Pet peeves. What are your non-negotiables? That's the term that she used. And so I went through mine. I said, well, what are yours? She goes, she said, talking on defense, but not communicating. So I kind of went, this is interesting. So, and of course I understood it, but who goes in depth about it?
Right.
It's rare that someone goes in depth about it, and goes in depth with your athletes. Mm-hmm. So, and just coincidentally, Coach Russell, our guy that runs coaches our 17U team, he had told the player, talking nonsense on defense, just you might as well not even talk. So I got ADHD, but I'm getting to it sometimes. So this player, she's an incoming freshman. Mm-hmm. So she goes into her practice and they have their first camp. And so everybody's saying ball, 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 you know. So she doesn't do it. She just says ball, you know. So we go through. Bree, how come you're not talking? Well, Coach Russell said, you know, talking nonsense is just stupid. It doesn't make sense. You might as well not even talk. She literally said exactly what he said. And I'm paraphrasing. So we were both like, no, Dad called us. We were like,
Lord.
Luckily, Dad is a very good friend of the high school coach. So the high school coach called him laughing. So Dad calls me and was like, hey, man, Bree Crenshaw told the coach this. And I'm going, what? I said, what? The coach, he started laughing. He said, why was he laughing? I said, because it's true.
Yeah.
And he realized it makes true. It just makes sense. Because no one goes blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
like,
look,
why are we doing it?
Look, that is something that I hate. Like,
Ditto.
look, and I know it's taught. I don't know the purpose of it, but I don't ever remember playing being up, blah, 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 blah. You know, I figure maybe it's something that the thing is I thought it was something that was taught to like little kids to have them to understand certain things. Then I started going to high school games and I was like, they're doing the same thing.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's like, it doesn't make sense.
Yes, sir.
But I would never like tell one of the coaches like, man, that's the stupidest stuff I've ever seen because they're doing it for a reason and I haven't been in there with them to fully understand why, but it doesn't make sense to me.
So back to this interview, she went in depth of the difference between talking and communicating.
Okay.
When you're communicating, you're directing.
Yeah.
Screen right, screen left. Hey, watch the backside. Hey, I got two over here. You know, that's different than ball, get her, defense. Like just saying, to me, it's more like, it's like a coach being a cheerleader. Go, shoot. You know, there's no direction, there's no instruction.
Right.
And so that's the difference between, you know, and hopefully one of these days we can have her on here and she'll obviously go through some other things, but she went really in depth about the difference between communicating.
You know, it's funny because
talking.
I see exactly what she's saying and what you're saying, but I'm kind of wondering, like, to me, they're the same because when you're talking, you should be saying screen right. I got two over here. I'm trying to wonder who's in there just talking, saying screen. Well, no, because I've heard that before. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's weird.
So the thing is, at the level that kind of you've been taught and you're at, talking is communicating. It's that of the same.
Yeah.
But you just hit it on the head. You know, when they reach a certain age, we teach them blah, 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 you know, and saying all these things and just really yelling stuff.
Right.
And not really being detailed as to how to communicate.
Right. Let me get the urn, man, because it's still warm. Keep talking. I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, that's something that we really, this guy really went to go cut the air on. I appreciate it though. But that's really something that our organization is really about the details. Very, very similar to your training.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell somebody how to come off a screen and roll, but what does the footwork look like? What do the angles look like? Where are you reading? What level are you reading? There's levels when you come off screen and roll, 1, 2, and 3, sometimes even 4.
Right.
And so you don't just come off the screen and roll with your head down in some of these games that I watch here.
Right.
And you mentioned that last week, I believe, come with their head down, just ready to just go run the space and throw up a shot.
Right.
And so there's basically, it's an IQ thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lack of intelligence within the game, and it's all over.
Yeah.
And so just explaining that and understanding that, and I understood it, of course, because I'm very similar to you. Like, talking is directing. I'm not just talking to talk.
Like, and as I'm absorbing and I'm thinking, it is great because the assumption is that everybody who's talking is communicating.
Absolutely.
But not everybody who's talking is communicating. They're just talking. So that's outstanding. That is outstanding.
Yeah, it really, and obviously we hired her on the spot. I was not going to let her leave that table without committing. So if I had to go to talk to anyone I needed to, she's going to be an asset to us. I really feel that. And, she's played in college, coached in college, so that says a lot too. So.
Yeah, that's great. The interesting thing is that ties into the next subject, but it also ties into what I was doing a drill. So I have a what I call a ball IQ group, and this is comprised of 5th graders and I think 1 6th grader. Now I only have 4. I might add 2 more, but in this group, the reason I call it ball IQ is because I cover a lot of ball IQ things. So I'll do the simple drills, whether it's shooting, ball handling, but then I go into live situations. So I did this one drill where, I had person on the wing, kid on the wing. I had one on here in help. So I had the ball in the corner. I throw the ball up to the offensive player. This defensive player has to close out. Now the rule was we are not allowing middle. You must force them this way because this is where your help will be.
Right.
And they were doing it until I told them, I said, I want you to try to go left and drive left. If you drive left and you get into the paint, the defensive player has to do 10 push-ups, right? So they were running up and they were allowing the person to go to the middle. And I stopped and I said, what are your orders? What is it that you're supposed to do? And they was like, well, we're supposed to force them this way. I said, so why are you running up and leveling up to them? I said, you should be, I purposely let them go, everybody go without saying anything to see who knew what they were supposed to do. They all did the same thing. Then I told them, you got to get on the high side because you don't want them going in the middle, so you can automatically cut that off and force them this way. And it was crazy because
something so simple.
Something so simple, and it leads into how can I make them understand that not only do you have to do that, but you have to communicate with everybody, right? So it's a great example of, from what you're saying with her, with getting them to, it was crazy, and the parents were just like, and the kids would keep messing up, and I, they'd do their push-ups, and I kept asking them, why are you, and they would almost look at me like I have no reason why I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm supposed, it's like the, what is it, the moth going into the light, like I can't help it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, you're supposed to do it. So it was interesting. It was really interesting. And it goes into my next subject, basketball ideology. It's team training. Team training is something that, I had parents ask me about, and I decided to start adding it. And am I adding it for college teams? No. I mean, I shouldn't need to. Now, I've been asked in the past to come in and help and with stuff. I'm great. Yeah, I'm good with that. High school, I've been asked before with some of the lower level high schools, but I never wanted, if the high school coaches are coming to me and asking me, then yeah, that's I feel like that's an honor because they trusted in what we're doing. But I would never say, hey, bring your high school team here, because they have so much time. They should be getting those kids developed. Although I've had kids from freshman to senior that have played at different high schools that struggle with the different concepts that I'm talking to them about. I'm more trying to gear this from 2nd grade up to maybe 8th grade. That's kind of where my focus is. But I started it, and the first team training I had was shooting form and catch and shoot. The hardest part with some of this is you get kids in here that think they know what they're doing, and then you try to explain stuff to them, and they hear you, and they don't know what's going on, so they revert back to those things that they do. And I tell them, I said, if you want to be a consistent shooter, you have to do the same thing over and over again. You can't do something different, if you miss a shot. It's about almost robotic. Mm-hmm. The group I had today earlier, it's a team, obviously, and they wanted to start to learn how to get their shooters open shots. Mm-hmm. So I work with them. The alignment they have is a 3 out, 2 in, and I introduced staggered screen. The coach, and they're like 5th grade, 6th grade team. These are parents who are coaching, so they're, again, it's an honor because I train, their kids are with me in the ball IQ, so they get it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they would ask me and not be like, no, we're going to do it ourselves. They had never really understood staggered screens. So I had to play to say, this is a great, unless they're switching, and you would figure 5th and 6th grade kids, they don't know enough to understand a staggered screen just yet, right? That's as you get older or you get in more complex systems. Ran the staggered screen. So I was doing it to let them get an idea of it. But in doing it, I was able to evolve it because I was seeing how they were adapting to it defensively. That's awesome. And I was adding wrinkles, right? 3 or 4 different wrinkles. So what I gathered from it was what I told them was, what I want to do is I want to break your play down and run your play from each part where the ball is given to a person where they can score. And we're going to go, everybody's going to run that so everybody understands it. And out of that, if you're coming over that staggered screen and it's a curl and you're catching it, your first option, obviously, if you're wide open, is to catch and shoot. Your second option is to drive if you have the open. Now, once you get there, once we're in that drive, now we're going to go into 2 or 3 different scenarios that you can have. And run it over and over and over again until they really get that concept, and then we'll move to a different part. So it's, for me, it's like stripping this play down and saying, okay, this is the play, this is the play, the whole play. We're going to work on this one aspect of the play to try it. Because the reason I say that is I've worked with kids in high school who were running their plays, and then I'd ask them, they say, oh, I get here, and then it's a pass, and it's like, well, why are you passing? Well, that's what we're supposed to do. I was like, yeah, but that's open. So then they was like, yeah. It's like, yeah, like they didn't see it, so then they do exactly what we talked about. They get an easy score. Now it's, hey, well, they caught on. When I come here, what do? Well, this should be open, right? And then they do that, and it's like, wow, this is working.
IQ's built.
So it got me excited because I was like, well, I had never really thought about teaching concepts and stuff and working within the play that you have and giving them wrinkles.
Yes, sir.
So I'm really excited about it.
Well, I mean, I'll say this, and there's probably been, there has been a paradigm shift as far as training. Just from the stuff that I've seen, it's probably been going on for now maybe 3 to 4 years, is group training.
Right.
And I was just looking this up because I completely forgot his name, but Drew Hanlon, who trains Embiid, trains a host of guys, NBA players. They do a lot of group stuff, a lot of group stuff as it pertains to ball handling. And the one that kind of got me thinking was he had each player do a different move, and all of them had to learn from each other.
Right.
The growth and the scale of guys getting better is for gals as well is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Group training, there is a paradigm shift. It's coming. It's here, obviously already. Just understand that it is going to push your athlete, your son or daughter, to the next level, because instead of just him saying, man, I can't get that. Kids are really competitive.
Right.
But by nature, they're competitive. If I see, here we go, little Johnny again. if I see little Johnny do it, I'm thinking, man, I can do that too.
Yeah.
So it forces me to be better and to really lock in.
Yeah. The way I've approached the group trainings, and I will say, yeah, because the individual trainings, they're gonna grasp and learn fast. The fastest, because it's just you and them. Mm-hmm. So you break down what it is they're struggling with, you fix it, now they get reps and they get it and they get faster. By adding the group, you can put certain situations, like for instance that drill, where I make it simple, but then now you can go left, right? Then I added, hey, you can catch and shoot now. Mm-hmm. Now you got to defend it a little bit different, because it starts to be more game-like, right? And
so would you say the IQ grows faster? And
yes, and now the IQ grows faster. Because I don't want to sound like I'm being cruel, but the IQ only grows faster if the person who's showing you has good IQ.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
If they don't know what they're doing, they're never going to be able to.
I'm talking about trainers.
To stop.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Another subject.
Yeah, if the trainer doesn't understand the concept, because look, and since we're bringing this up, Kenyon Martin, who used to play in the NBA, he's from the house, he's from D-Town.
Yep.
He mentioned it was on somebody shared it, and it was
Gills, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was on there talking about that why are people putting their kids with trainers, and you shouldn't be with a trainer, you should get out and play and stuff, and you learn those things. And I'm sitting up there listening to it, and I'm like, well, he's partially right.
Yeah.
He's partially right. What I've always said is there needs to be a balance, and training is because. But what he said, I didn't get mad because it didn't apply to me. He specifically was like, man, they out here teaching them all this crazy stuff, and they not teaching them the fundamentals.
Right.
So you can go and play and learn different things, and that is true. But I can't tell you how many kids come that are playing, but they're not developing because they do the same things, and they don't know how to counter, when to counter, and why they're countering. So if you have somebody who's well versed with describing and detailing and showing them those things, that's valuable. But if you have somebody that's trying to just show them these fancy dancy moves and there's no substance to it,
you can't make a left hand layup.
That's the important part, because I've gotten like 12 new kids in the past 2 weeks.
Wow.
And I do the evaluation, and people are like, why are we doing the evaluation? My kid knows, and it's like, look, you might think your kid knows what they're doing, but I need to see. And when I put them through the first few drills, I get to see everything that I know they need. Mm-hmm. And then I fix it, and then these parents need to see, and I tell these kids, I don't go left. Yeah, well, you better learn, because you got to have that balance and stuff. So the training aspect is very valuable if you have somebody who knows what they're doing. The group training aspect has really started to be more valuable, and I've actually started to combine. I actually did it, and I'm going to say it right now. I had been asked about doing group trainings and condensing a lot of stuff from the missus, April, for a while. To me, I was actually being told that I needed to start doing almost specifically just all group training without even knowing it, because I have trainers, and then they would leave. Now, they weren't leaving because they weren't happy, guys. I don't want y'all to be thinking like, well, what? You're a terrible owner and stuff. No, because with this job, this was more, I always tell people this is more of like a little side hustle, right? You come in and you do your trainings because you still want to stay close to it, and then, you have your regular job. If you're trying to start this as your own thing, you got to have a whole base of clients and stuff, right? So some would come, whether they were military, whether they were moving, whether they were kids getting other opportunities, jobs and stuff. So I got all of that. And then I had two of my kids that I trained, they were really good, and then they left. So then I'm scrambling to figure out where these kids go, and you know, and stuff. So then it got settled in. I got some more trainers, and then it happened again. And I'm looking at it thinking, right now, I'm like, that was something telling me like a year and a half ago that I should have went more into it. This time, had two of my trainers. They had to leave. They left for job reasons. They got a full-time job and stuff. One's going for a law degree and all of that stuff. And then I was like, well, I need to put in, you know, the hire. And I was like, no, I'm just going to move more to groups because I'm starting to groups anyway.
That's awesome.
And then it's like,
forced you to do it, huh?
It forced me to do it, and I should have been listening before. And it's now like, well, I'm going to give them a choice. Like, I can still do individuals, but it's only at this specific time frame on these particular days. And those are already full. Right. So I explained to them the benefits of group training. It's still individualized, and here's the, I know I've kind of talked around and explained, here's the biggest thing you have to understand if you're doing a group training versus a group workout. A group workout, you will have various kids at different ages and different skill levels, all in there doing the same drill. Some can do it easy, others will struggle. There is no, how do I say it? There is no correction in showing how to do it, and they pick up bad habits. Here with me, and I'm only going to speak for me, what I do is it still feels individualized because everybody has to master it. I make sure through doing the evaluations which group is going to be best suited for that kid. Gotcha. Right? Like, I'm not going to put a kid who's a beginner with a group of kids in intermediate. They can't keep up, right? And it's not good for the group. So I'm real strategic in how I do it, and I do know that groups are a lot better. If you can get 4 to 6 in, it's perfect. Because with the 4 that I have, with the ball IQ concept, I was trying to teach these kids to understand about hunting and picking out the weak defender. Right. And I told them, I said, such and such can't defend. So why are you keep going away from it? You should hunt him every time. I'm doing 2 things or 3 things. Number 1, I'm teaching that kid to be aggressive and taking that kid off the dribble, right? I'm teaching the other kid that you better learn how to defend. Right. But now the other part is this guy who's on your team who knows his teammate has trouble defending, he has to help. Gotta help. Now I'm teaching the other kid about being and relocating to be ready for the shot. Because if you can't defend him, he's getting by you. Your choices, you're going to 3. We're going to 3. Your choices are let him hit that easy layup or help, and now you get open for a shot. They're not really truly understanding it just yet because I hit them with it. Parents loved it. Yeah. I said, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to get you to reality. If you're playing my team and I got some dogs, we're going to hunt you out. Right. And we're going to get our offense out of that because I know if you can get layups, you get layups. But once you keep coming, they're going to keep helping. And as they help, you know where to go.
That's awesome. Let me ask this. What was the biggest pushback when you first initially started talking about team training?
Well, with the team training, I haven't had any type of pushback because the team training, the parents are bringing the team. This was fortunate because these parents are the coaches.
Knowing your typical clientele, what are some ideas you think that would have some pushback?
What do you mean?
As far as knowing your clientele, like let's say you presented it to somebody, what would be some ideas that you think that they would have some pushback about?
You know, it's funny because I know that all of my clients are gung-ho about it because they've seen what we do with them and the level of training and how I teach. Like if I mention something and I'm explaining to them how to go through for a screen and showing them that you need to be at least an inch away, no more than that person you're setting that screen. You got to set that person up. I use the term lock and trail. They're fifth grade. Of course they're not going to know it. But then I asked them, so I had to explain what a lock and trail was, right? So they could see it. You're watching parents, those parents are being educated as well. Right. Because they're getting a sense of when they see something, they're going to understand it, right? Right. The funniest part is the kid I had just before you came in, the dad loves everything we do. She's gotten better. He was telling me he wanted to do a team training. He was going to get the girls in. He's like, I'll pay for the first one so the parents and stuff can see what you do. He talked about the play they ran. I said, oh, yeah, we can do. He's like, well, if she doesn't come up, then they don't know what to do. And I was like, well, we need to have triggers. Yeah. So if she doesn't come, this is what they do. So there's always an understanding. He was so hurt today because he showed me, he made a little poll, and it was like, how many of y'all want to, come in and do this? And it's like 10 kids, and I think only one responded and said that they wanted to do it. And he was hurt, and I said, and I didn't get upset. I just said, look, from my experience, sometimes you have to let them find their way. This has happened, Lee, I can't tell you how many times it's happened where a parent is excited and they're trying to get the kids to come in. They might pay or they might get a discount or something to try to get them in, and then the parents don't want to do it. And I said, you can't force them to see what you're seeing. I said, it takes care of itself, because with my experience, what happens is when your kid gets really good and they're figuring things out like that, and these kids are left behind, the first thing these parents do is say, why is she so much better? That's when you say, because she goes here and he teaches her this. Right. Well, we need to do this. Well, I've been trying to get you to do this for 6 months. Right? You can't force them. They have to see it. Some people will see it and still not want to do it.
Absolutely.
And I've told parents, you can't worry about that. At some point, you just have to focus on your child. I'm not worried about it because I understand what's going to happen. Right. Little Billy is better than your child right now. But little Billy was just good because he was fast and he was able to do this and this. In less than 2 years, little Billy will still be doing the same thing. You will be taught how to counter and do these different things. You will catch little Billy and you will surpass little Billy. And then little Billy's parents are going to be trying to bring little Billy over here with me because they don't understand why little Billy's not getting better. Yeah. It's I don't even want to say it's an opinion or it's basically a fact.
It's fact. Cause
it's a fact.
I see it in my space too. So you had kids that be like, man, I really like to play, but I've been with this group since I was 6 years old. And that's not really a good thing.
Right.
So, for the most part, it's not a good thing. You're playing with a team that you've been with for 4 or 5 straight years. You're playing the same role.
Yeah.
How are you going to expand your role?
You got to.
Oh, we have a point guard. I'm supposed to do this and this and this. Well, you're not going to be recruited doing this and this and this. You need to have at least some touch at the point guard position.
Yeah.
I've literally watched a parent go ask one of my parents, hey, man, she just, this year she's different. Something about her, she's different. They're like, well, our coaches are honest. They tell us, and like they're really big on the developing, yada, 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 not to toot our own horn, but like, and it's amazing how they still they still stay there.
Yeah.
They still stay there, and they call it loyalty.
Yeah.
So, and we can get into that in another time too, but I've always told athletes loyalty goes both ways.
Right.
And I really try to get athletes and parents to understand that basketball is just like education. If I'm in geometry and this teacher cannot get it across to me and I don't understand it and I'm getting bad grades, what is a parent going to do? Move that kid to another teacher. So what is the difference? if the teacher says, excuse me, Miss Johnson, you need to be loyal to me. She was here first.
Right.
Parents don't care about that.
Nah, they weren't.
Basketball is the same way.
Yeah.
The coach has a responsibility. The player has a responsibility to work and build skill.
Right.
And there has to be some type of plan, some type of vision about where your daughter or son is going to be.
Yeah. What I'm actually starting to shift on is I'm going to be putting more pressure on the kids, because I'm going to be telling them, like, when you do this, 4 trainings, this package with me, at the end, these are the things you need to be able to do. And if you're not practicing and you're not getting any better, I have a verifiable waiting list, because now my availability is a lot less.
It's limited for sure.
Right? So now you can't occupy this spot just because.
Man.
So now I'm going to be,
because they're not doing their homework.
Yeah,
they don't get a spot.
Yeah, and I actually had a conversation with one.
Different.
I had a conversation with one today about, like, you can't come in here and want to practice, behind the back. I worked with you on behind the back 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And you haven't worked on it at home, you're not getting better. I said, it's like would you go to the store, buy something, and then go back and try to buy the same thing again, pay for the not a new one, the same thing. That's the same thing. If I teach you something now, and then 2 weeks I have to go back to it and do the same thing because you didn't work, and it's like, now I'm gonna have that luxury. I mean, I don't want to use the term luxury, but it's going to be a thing, because, like, it's always been where I've always had a waiting list, but now, with the fact that I'm probably not going to hire any more trainers, or if I do, it's going to be different than what I've done. Everything is prompt. Like, I could technically, like, jack my prices up. I'm not gonna do. I actually lowered my prices for my groups. I'm lowering them. I might raise my individual prices, right? And I should have been. Even though it's 60 right now, people are like, well, that's a lot, but like I don't think I've mentioned it before. I had somebody that came from California. I ever tell you the story?
No.
Had somebody that came from California. This is a few years ago. Came down from California. They were visiting. We did the training. It was one training. They just happened to stop through. They found me and stuff. I set them up. I did the training. It's like, it wasn't like, well, he's not going to be here anyway, so I'm not going to, it's like, no, I'm going to leave an impression on him.
Absolutely.
Because I want you to know, what I'm about. Did the training, went to charge him. Back then we were charging $40. That's what we were charging. Went to charge him. The guy was like, made this face, and I was like, oh Lord, he finna complain. I'm thinking he finna complain about paying $40, and I'm like, man, you from Cali? That's it.
Right.
He was like, no, you don't understand. He's like, I've had my son with some NBA trainers in California. I've paid anywhere from $150 to $300 for one session. For one session. He said, my son just told me he learned more from you in this 60 minutes with how you detailed, how you explain, how you visually get him to see it. He said he's never gotten that before. He said, you are so underpriced. I said, well, I appreciate that. And I'm going to actually put that out. I appreciate it. I was like, look, I can't charge, that amount because we're here, right? But I could go up a little bit more, because, like, I haven't slowed down with how I train. I'm not like, now if I'm like today, you would have thought that I would be slowing down because I've been here since 11 this morning, right? But no, I don't slow down with how I'm training. And it's like, I got to start putting more pressure on these kids. Like, look, it's not because I want to be, quote unquote, the best. It's like, you wasting your time and your parents' time that are coming. So if you're not going to come in and get it, then let somebody else come in that wants it.
Absolutely. Well, man, if you ever need another trainer, you let me know. I mean, I can learn the HVAC. I can sweep. I can do a lot of different things around here.
Hey,
man.
we can definitely talk about that. Times are changing. All right, so let's get into a special edition of You Done Lost Your Damn Mind.
Let's go.
Look, I've been watching, look, I'm a movie guy. I love movies. I mean,
Same.
I grew up watching horror movies, all kinds of monster movies, sci-fi, action. I'll enjoy a rom-com every time now and then, but I love action movies and dramas and all of that. Mm-hmm. I was watching something today, and it got me to thinking, who's better in a fight between the Wolverine, right, and the Hulk? Who you got?
Woo-wee. Man, I am going to go with Wolverine.
Hell no.
Yeah, Wolverine.
Nope.
Yes, sir.
I'm going with the Hulk, not because he's bigger.
What you mean?
I'm going with the Hulk.
Do you know what Wolverine is made out of?
Right. But the Hulk is indestructible, too.
Man, all the Hulk does is this. Boom. Boom. But as soon as he see the girl, he turns back to the doctor.
But
then that's when you get him.
But
game over.
Even if you do it, he's not going to die because all you're going to do is make him mad. He's going to come back.
Man, you hit him in the right. If Wolverine, we're talking about Wolverine.
You know what?
Are you kidding me?
You can't hurt the Hulk, dog. Now, I know you can't hurt, but in one of the Marvel's things, Logan got killed. In Deadpool, he had to try to bring him back.
That's a comedy, man. That ain't real. Come on. Hulk,
how many stories have you heard of the Hulk dying? He can't die because of all the Hulk would do with Wolverine is pull him apart. And he would pull that adamantium out of his body like
he would get that arm cut off. That arm gonna get cut off.
That arm is not gonna get cut because that arm you can't hurt him.
That's all we need.
You can't hurt him.
1-2. It's over. He gonna let go.
You can't hurt him.
Let go.
Huh?
I bet you he let go.
You can't cut it. I ain't never seen nobody cut him out. They was shooting at him with a M60 in the. Did you see Captain America, the new one that just came out?
I'm looking at it tomorrow night.
Okay, well you seen the other Avengers when they were shooting at the Hulk, and all he did was this.
Yeah. What happened with Wolverine? They shot at him too.
Yeah, when they shoot Wolverine, he falls, he gets up, he'll push the bullet out.
The man heals himself.
Right.
He don't even push it out. He's just thinking bullet comes out.
Hey, now in that movie, Wolverine, he was getting tagged. He got shot at the end. The samurai cut off his It
grew back.
No, it didn't.
He was in a depressed state, man. He was in a depressed state, man.
Yeah, he was depressed because he was worried about the Hulk whooping that ass. Look at it. Every stuff that he was impervious to, that hurt him in that Wolverine movie, it was green.
Man.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes.
First of all, somebody got to make you mad for you to. You done.
No. What did he say in the Avengers?
What did he say?
He said, "Well, aren't you going to get angry?" And he looked at him and he said, "That's my thing. I'm always angry." And then he turned into it and he punched that big monster out.
You bring a model to him, he'll coochie coo, and then that's when you get him, man. Done.
But you can't kill him. Because even when he was Banner, he's tried to shoot himself in the head, and then the Hulk spits the bullet out.
I still think Wolverine. Can't nobody touch Wolverine.
Well, it would be. Now I saw something.
Great match.
Oh yeah, I saw somewhere it was Superman versus the Hulk. I was like, man, that's gonna be a draw.
Really?
Right? I thought that was. Then it had somewhere they make these really good like live action like short stories.
Really?
They had one where it was Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine versus the Predator. You know how that went.
Yeah,
he tore the Predator's ass.
Yeah, you know that's gonna happen.
They had Jason versus Michael Myers.
Michael Myers. Ooh.
That one was good.
I'm not a scary movie type person. I don't watch scary movies.
Okay, so I'll find it, and then I'm gonna send it to you.
Me.
I get a lot of those, man. Those things are cool because I'm like, damn, like they should make I'm looking like they should make a movie like this. Then we start thinking like, yeah, who would win if this happened? It was
you start learning a lot.
Predator versus Batman. You know, that kind of stuff. So you start like, oh yeah, that would be good because they both the same. So yeah, man, let me get out of here because we'll be talking for the next hour on some movies. So I would say I won. You know, y'all can let us know. Maybe you feel like it's a draw, but you know, Hulk smash.
I love Hulk though. I love some Hulk.
My dad's favorite scene was in the Avengers. When Loki was talking noise to him, and then he just grabbed him and oh man, all over my dad loved that scene right there. Yeah, but hey, we're gonna leave and we hope you enjoyed everything. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, comment. Let us know what you think. My auntie and I know my auntie commented on our last one.
Oh, did she?
She said very informative. I felt really good. She said very informative.
Okay.
I didn't ask her who was informative. I figured it's her favorite nephew. Aunt Donnie, how you doing? Now I'm shouting my Aunt Donnie out, so now when she listens, she'll know that it's me. All right, so like, follow, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. On that, I'm going to end it the way I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. We out.
Peace.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.